Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, absurdism in the extreme. It's all available here in the Tales from the Omni Vault book series. Check the description for Amazon links so you can get your copies and start reading today. Thank you all, and now, on to the video. Here's one. Anubis asks, what was it like to work with Michael Nesmith?
That period of my life was one of the best, happiest periods and creative periods of my life. Mike was, first of all, a really good, talented musician. And I think he was a little embarrassed being one of the Monkees. He came out from Texas as a serious musician, and then he got this gig where he was suddenly making a lot of money as one of the Monkees on the television show. So he wanted to prove to everybody that, hey, I'm still Mike Nesmith. I'm not the character you see on television every week. So that's when he put our band together, the Penny Arcade, in which I played bass guitar and a little bit of keyboards, but mostly bass guitar. And he was a funny guy. He had a really incredible sense of humor. And we went to the museum together. I remember the whole family, his wife, Phyllis, and Christian, his little boy, and I, and my cousin who was out from Chicago, Rosemary, we all went to the Natural History Museum. I gave them all the grand tour. And when I finished my amateur Spider-Man movie, Mike had lent me the record album I wanted to use. It was an album by Chicago, the rock band Chicago. And there was this big instrumental part to it. And I wanted to use that for the movie. So he let me borrow that. And we had the premiere of my Spider movie at his house. And those were great times. I loved working with Mike. His family was great. Alf was great. Alf was was basically he cared for Christian, and then when Christian had a little brother, Phyllis had a second son named Jonathan. But Alf, before he started working for Mike, was the chauffeur for the Beatles. So I got to ask him a lot of questions about the Beatles and everything. But Mike, I'll tell you one story about Mike. Before he lived in his big house, he lived in a smaller house up in the Hollywood Hills. And he had a sunken living room. You went in the house, and then to get in the living room, you had to walk down a flight of about 4 or 5 steps. Well, up until that night, I had this running gag going on with the members of the Penny Arcade. I would say, well, what are we going to, I don't know if we can, if we get a gig to play on a night of the full moon, I don't know if I can make it. I have this problem. Well, anyway, I never said werewolf, but they got the joke. The night of this night, we were at Mike's house, and I was out on the veranda, and I was out there with 2 guys from the Penny Arcade, and I looked up at the sky, and there was a full moon there, and they looked at me and they said, "All right, what are you going to do now? We're going to see it transform into a werewolf." They didn't know that I was one step ahead of them, and in the trunk of the car that I came in, I had the brand new Don Post Wolfman mask, the $25 one, which was a lot of money back then, and these 2 gloves with claws on them, okay? And our road manager was in on the gag. So I got in the outfit. I said, I got to get out of here. And I came back in the house. Now, I'd forgotten that Mike had this German Shepherd named Frack that was attack trained in Germany to respond to 50 vocal commands. Well, anyway, the whole family's down in the living room, the sunken living room. And I came in, and I go, in this Wolfman outfit. And our road manager, and I was going through my stuntman training around that time too. So I did a flying leap off the top of the stairs onto his shoulders. In midair, I hear this growl, and it's Frack. In midair, he caught me. I won't say where he caught me.
Oh, no.
It took a long time for those scars to go away. And that story traveled around, and they got a lot of mileage out of that story, but it was absolutely true. So I had a lot of great times at Mike Nesmith's house and working with him.
Yeah. I think that made the stream right there. Thank you for sharing that. That was great.